Photosynthesis. In this lesson, we will explore the science and engineering practices of asking questions and defining problems, planning and carrying out investigations, constructing explanations and designing solutions, engaging in argument from evidence. We will also look at the cross-cutting concepts of patterns, cause and effect, energy and matter. So how do plants grow? Many years ago, people thought that plants ate soil and that made them grow. But think about it. If that really happened, then there wouldn't be any soil left. Plants actually grow by making their own food, not by eating soil. So where does the matter that plants are made of come from? How do plants make their own food? One of the raw materials that plants need to make food comes from the soil, and the other comes from the air. So what are these two raw materials that are needed? The first is carbon dioxide from the air, and the second is water from the soil. Plants make their own food from carbon dioxide and water in a chemical reaction that we call photosynthesis. The food made by photosynthesis is sugar, or glucose. The other product of photosynthesis is oxygen. So where does the energy come from? Plants need energy for photosynthesis to take place. The energy for photosynthesis comes from the sun. Where does photosynthesis happen? Photosynthesis happens in the leaves of green plants. Cells in the upper surface of leaves contain parts called chloroplasts. These contain a green pigment called chlorophyll. Chlorophyll absorbs light energy from the sun, allowing photosynthesis to take place. So what's the equation for photosynthesis? Photosynthesis is a chemical reaction, and so we can use a word equation to explain it. Plants take in carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and water from the soil. They use light energy and chlorophyll to produce glucose and oxygen. This equation can be read as carbon dioxide and water, in the presence of light energy and chlorophyll, react to form glucose and oxygen. So what is needed for photosynthesis? First, water. The second thing that is needed is carbon dioxide. We also need sunlight. Maybe a little bit of nitrogen. Not so much. Potentially some fertilizer? No, not really that either. We definitely are going to need chlorophyll to get photosynthesis to occur. So what is the word equation? What is the word equation for photosynthesis? Carbon dioxide plus water, along with light energy from the sun and chlorophyll that exists inside the chloroplasts of plants, give us glucose and oxygen. Testing leaves for starch. How are leaves tested for starch? Iodine can be used to test leaves for starch. This shows if photosynthesis has occurred. Stage 1. First, boil a beaker of water, then place the leaf in the water for 30 seconds. This softens the cell walls, making the leaf more permeable to iodine. Stage 2. place the leaf in a test tube of warm alcohol. The alcohol extracts the chlorophyll from the leaf. This makes it easier to see color changes during the iodine test. Stage 3. Now place the leaf in a beaker of warm water. This only needs to be for a short time. The warm water further softens the leaf for the iodine test. Stage 4. We're going to click on the pipette to drop iodine on the leaf. If there is starch in the leaf, the iodine changes color from brown to blue-black. Does light affect photosynthesis? And how does light affect photosynthesis? Do plants really need sunlight to photosynthesize? Stage 1. 2 plants of the same type are selected. One plant is placed on a windowsill with bright sunlight. The other plant is placed on a dark cupboard. In stage 2, the plants are kept in these conditions for 48 hours. Stage 3, a leaf is cut from both plants. The leaves are then prepared for testing of starch. Use the pipette to add a drop of iodine to each leaf. What do we think these results might show? Energy transfers in photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is a chemical reaction that involves an energy transfer. During the reaction, light energy from the sun is converted into chemical energy. The chemical energy is stored inside the organism as glucose. So how is glucose used? How do you think that plants use the glucose made during photosynthesis? Some of the glucose is broken down to release the energy it contains. This process is called cellular respiration. Glucose is also used to build other molecules that make up cells and tissues. So how do plants use glucose? Glucose produced by photosynthesis can be used by the plant in a variety of ways. Respiration. Some glucose is used for respiration. Respiration is a process used by all living things to release energy from glucose. This energy is used to make the molecules required for growth. New chemicals. Some glucose is used to make new chemicals such as proteins, sugars, and fats that the plant needs for growth. Storage. Some glucose is converted into starch and other substances for storage. It is then changed back to glucose when it is needed. Cereal grains and potatoes are edible starch stores. Biomass transfers. When plants are eaten by animals, the matter and energy they contain are transferred to the animals. This transferred matter and energy become available for the animal to use. Animals use the matter from plants to build their own cells and tissues and release energy for their own life processes. So how is this energy from the sun used by organisms? The sun is the source of almost all energy on Earth. How is this energy obtained and transferred to different organisms? Stage 1, these lettuce plants carry out photosynthesis. They convert light energy from the sun into stored chemical energy in organic molecules. Stage 2, these caterpillars eat the lettuce plants. The organic molecules within the lettuce plants are broken down by the caterpillars, and the energy is used. Some of this energy is used to make new cells. Stage 3. The blackbirds that we see in the background here eat the caterpillars. The energy stored in the cells of the caterpillars is used by the blackbirds. In stage 4, the caterpillars and blackbirds depend on the lettuce plant obtaining energy from the sun. Other photosynthetic organisms. Plants are not the only organisms to carry out photosynthesis. Some types of algae and other microorganisms can do it also. An important example is phytoplankton. These are unicellular organisms. They are very common in parts of the Earth's oceans. Phytoplankton are eaten by other organisms that live in the oceans, making them the start of many marine food webs. Much of the photosynthesis occurring on Earth takes place in the oceans. Scientists estimate that phytoplankton contribute somewhere between 50 and 80% of Earth's atmospheric oxygen. Use of oxygen. Photosynthesis produces oxygen as well as glucose. Can you suggest how the oxygen may be used? Photosynthetic organisms need oxygen for cellular respiration. Some of the oxygen produced in photosynthesis is used for cellular respiration. The remaining oxygen is released into the environment. Many of Earth's organisms depend on a supply of oxygen to carry out cellular respiration. All of the oxygen in Earth's atmosphere has been made by green plants and algae during photosynthesis. This means that the oxygen you are currently breathing was released into the environment by a green plant or a type of algae.